What's good, y'all? Welcome back. Welcome back to another F1 video, man. Shout out to that man, Josh Ravel, again with the video, dropping banger. Shout out to him. But anyway, we have Nicholas Latifi, who really is he? Obviously, you guys, the big talk of the week in the F1 world. Nicholas Latifi is leaving Williams at the end of 2022. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Obviously, it didn't work out. Had a very, very difficult season. And I think a lot of people know, especially me, that the man candidate to replace Latifi is obviously going to be Nick DeVries. I think his first race came in the top 10. Absolutely outstanding, man. But it does suck for Latifi, man. I know we do, kind of make fun of him at times. But, he made the F1. But fortunately, he just didn't really have the, I think from my standpoint, I just don't think he really did enough to even keep a seat. So we're gonna see what happens. Hopefully he stays in the F1 next year. I don't know who's gonna pick him up, but we'll see. We will see. Hopefully he does. He is able to stay. Sorry, I'm fixing my watch, so that's why it sounds a bit weird. But anyway, that's the news. Obviously, and also Yuki Tsunoda is staying with Alpine as well. He secured his contract. Now I do know Pierre Gasly has been rumored to leave. Listen, if Pierre Gasly decides to leave, I'm not sure where he's gonna go. But also, where you guys think Latifi is gonna be going next season? If it is in F1, and also, my bad. I was gonna have a second question, but I don't. But that's pretty much it. But anyway, let's go and get started with the video. Don't forget to like and sub again. Shout out to man Josh again. Let's get it.
The Formula 1 season is finished for another year. I guess we can get back into what we always do in the off-season. Namely, sit in the corner whilst we wait for March to arrive, and complain about all the pay drivers that invariably make up the grid. Next year we'll have a new one, but some of you may not know too much about him. So I'm here today to talk about Canada's newest Formula 1 driver.
I forgot he is Canadian, but he also gives me some French type vibes. I would think he's Canadian or French, but I think French is one of the main language or second main language behind English in Canada. Obviously, you guys know Montreal came from France. You guys know. There's some European influence over there.
So if you're unfamiliar with the situation surrounding the whole thing, here's the skinny. Formula 1 is an expensive sport to partake in, and as a result, around about half the teams on the grid require an extra injection of cash to keep the team going. I mean, outside of the development and running of the two team cars, you also have the staff, the travel costs, catering, setup and so on that needs to be paid and accounted for. The cost of all this amounts to around about £100 million per year, and as a result, some of the teams require a little bit extra to keep them going, which means turning to the drivers coming in and their respective sponsors. It also explains why the best drivers in the world aren't always on the Formula 1 grid. There are drivers such as Roy Nissany and Tatiana Calderon who do not have a good track record yet are testing Formula 1 machinery based on the size of their respective checkbooks. One of those teams prostituting themselves at the moment is the Williams Formula 1 team. Now, back in the 80s and 90s, you would not imagine these guys giving in to the almighty dollar. Back then they hired the best available. But the decline in competitiveness in recent years has also been marked with an increased reliance on pay drivers.
I do know we did check out the video about how Williams kind of crapped the bed since the 80s and 90s, which sucks because you always want to see teams who have been good continue to be good, be great. But obviously, stuff changes. In case for Williams' case, you guys all know, man, just the main staff guys, leaving, shit went left, and it's been a pretty bad struggle for him recently.
Even for a driver like Robert Kubica, it was ultimately his sponsor that forked out £14 million to be able to race for the entire season. But his spot on the 2020 grid was annulled due to somewhat lackluster performance, or perhaps more realistically, he was outbid for the seat at Williams. There were rumours of Williams trying to entice the likes of Nico Hulkenberg and Esteban Ocon to race with the team, but neither of these came to fruition. Instead, the second seat on the team was given to Nicholas Latifi, in what was the worst kept secret in Formula 1 at the time. So, who is Nicholas Latifi, and why the hell is he in Formula 1? Well, to put it bluntly, money. There is no way that the issue of money can be...
How many times have you seen F1 drivers, kind of being in F1 because of money? You know what I mean? If money rules everything, man.
Looked over in this case. We talked about how Kubica brought in £14 million worth of sponsorship money to the team. Well, Latifi is bringing in £30 million for that seat. That sum of money is beyond what any of us could ever imagine seeing in our lifetimes, and naturally, this news invoked a little bit of resentment among the Formula 1 fan base. Because, after all, Formula 1 fans weren't really too over the moon over the latest Canadian that came in with a lot of funds behind him. But is this really warranted? Is this guy really just a case of all money, no talent? Well, let's look back at his junior Formula career, because why not? I had the opportunity to...
Oh, crap. Oh, I'm sorry. My freaking mic was... We're good.
Watch him race down here in New Zealand whilst he was competing in the Toyota Racing Series in 2013. And he was, it was a little bit shit. He was the worst placed driver in all of his teammates. But hey, early days. He would compete in Formula 3 from 2012 to 2014, when he would get his first taste of Formula 2 machinery. But he would sporadically compete in the championship before finally getting the full-time role with Dams in 2016. He would remain with Dams for the duration of his time in Formula 2, which really is a key component of his progression in the championship. Now, up until the 2017 season, Latifi only had one win in his entire car racing career, which came at Vallelunga in the Italian Formula 3 Championship in 2012. So it was a long time between drinks, but it's not too bad. But hey, I mean, look, if we want to talk about bad drivers, it was a long time between drinks, but it's Italian Formula 3 Championship in 2012. So
So he's had one win from 2012 to 2016. He has one win. I mean, a lot of these races, you know, he only did one race, 2, 6. But 24 races, one win, 4 podiums. 30 races, 0, anything. 30, 1 podium. 17, fastest lap. 22, podium, 1 podium. How the hell did he manage to get in the F1?
It was a long time between drinks, but it's not too bad. But hey, I mean, look, if we want to talk about bad drivers, I could bring in drivers such as Shiban Siddiqui and Mahavir Raghunathan. It's not a racial thing. Those guys drove like a slug on salt. Hey, I said no salt! But his 2017 season would be fruitful with 9 podiums, 4 fastest laps, and a race win at Silverstone. Finishing 5th in the standings, it was pretty understandable to look at it as a relatively successful year, although he was outperformed by teammate Oliver Rowland throughout the year. The 2018 season was a lot less successful. Even after winning at Spa-Francorchamps, it would be a 9th place finish for him in the standings, while its teammate Alexander Albon finished in 3rd. Perhaps this was just a bad year, or Albon was perhaps that much better than Latifi. Heading into the 2019 season, Latifi was looking to prove that couldn't be right. Latifi started off the year brilliantly with 3 wins from 5 races, and was leading the championship for a fair way, but ultimately the rounds in Monaco and Monza hurt his championship chase and had to settle for 2nd place. But he was ahead of his teammate Sergio Sette Camara, and hey, 2nd place in Formula 2 isn't too shabby.
That's not bad.
But if you were to look at his entire junior Formula career and put it into perspective, his prospects for Formula 1 look somewhat limited. The Williams team remarked about how they were impressed with Latifi's feedback and integration within the team, but to be honest, they'll say that about just about anybody. Driving coach Ross Bentley stated that Mahavir Raghunathan had speed, for example, and we all know how that went. Those in the know don't believe he will have the pay.
Poor Mahavir. Man, every time I see dude's name, he just gets made fun of. Poor Mahavir, maybe. He just gets made fun of every time I see it.
To match George Russell, which is already a red flag. Ideally, you want the best drivers on the grid, and to say that you're not hiring the driver based on merit, that throws the argument that it was not about money completely out the window. But what the extra injection of cash does mean for the Williams team is that they will now have the resources to take their team off the back row of the grid, so long as the right people are navigating that area. And if Latifi's feedback is as good as they claim it is, and I mean, he isn't exactly a terrible driver after all, this could spell great things for Williams. Now, do I think Latifi will set the Formula 1 grid alight? No.
And
Could I be wrong? Yes.
Yeah.
Should we all give this guy a chance to prove what he may just be capable of?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Shout out to that man Josh, man. Heck of a video. Always is always Josh. Heck of a video. I mean, Latifi, man. And hopefully, you know, next year, wherever he goes, whatever happens, I wish him all the best. You know, F1 fans do as well, man. But fortunately, this hasn't really worked out for Williams. But we'll see, man. We'll see what happens with Williams. Looking forward to potentially Albon and Nick DeVries if everything goes according to plan with Williams next year. But we'll see. Anyway, hope you guys did enjoy the video. Don't forget to like the video and sub as well. Stay safe. See you guys later. Peace.